That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat all she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with Karen B and Just Jack.
Hey,
Hey.
Shabbat Shalom.
We've had a couple of weeks off, and we're back.
Yes, though the weather change has also changed me. I've had symptoms the last couple of weeks. Didn't feel like it was, it wasn't fair to the audience to like have me mute every 5 seconds to cough or whatever. So I'm glad we're back. It's been a long couple of weeks, but resting's not a bad thing to do every once in a while. So
No.
And excuse my background noise. We do have guests over, and my children act extra when there's guests over. So.
All right. So, a couple of weeks ago, we did the chapter 33. So we're going to be doing
episode
chapter
21, chapter 33.
Correct.
Yep. And it was about Jacob finally leaving his father-in-law's house and coming back home and wondering how his brother was going to treat him, because last time he saw him, he basically tricked his father into blessing him with the birthright, which he already was promised the birthright back when Esau gave it up because he was starving to death and he wanted some soup, basically. And when he went off, he was thinking, if I come back, my brother's going to kill me. So he sent his part of his wealth that he gained from his father-in-law's house and sent it forward as a gift to his brother to say, I'm honoring you as the Lord of this land. And it turned out well. Esau was like glad that Jacob was back, and it's also Esav and Yaakov, but it was a methodical way to approach his brother, because his brother's not going to wipe out animals that are coming to him, and later on people that are coming to him, and it was very nervous for Yaakov because he had seen that his brother brought a bunch of people with him, so he's like, maybe he's ready to go to war. So I'm going to read the disclaimer just because that's what we do. I don't really...
Yeah, I was going to say, did you want to go ahead and do the disclaimer?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of weeks, so maybe people forgot it.
Right. Maybe we
Not
have
only that,
somebody
but
new
I know there are people
us.
who actually hate that I read it every week, so that makes me want to read it more.
Well, haters going to hate.
That's right.
Cry baby's going to cry.
All right, just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then this stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture from a non-religion perspective, as well as life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins to show how religions contradict the scriptures. And there we go. One moment, please. And this is why I didn't want to do this last week, because it would have been a lot more often that I was pausing and muting. So.
Yeah. I hear you.
All right. So, just a little background again. If you remember when the sisters were fighting for Yaakov's affection and giving him children, the beloved one, Rachel, didn't have his child till the last. And there was this back and forth competition between Leah and her servant, and Rachel and her servant, like trying to have more children than the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only daughter that was mentioned of was this this Dinah, which is the feminine form of the judge. This is Leah's daughter. So this is not the beloved of Yaakov, but it appears that Leah, this is my own perspective, choose what you will, but she seems to be the more righteous wife, the more good wife, the more in love with Yaakov rather than in love with the competition, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Rachel stole the idols from her father and started that whole drama and sat upon the idols and said, don't approach me, Father, I'm in the way of the woman, showing that the laws that are later written down in Exodus were already established before they got written down.
Mm-hmm.
There was a manner of knowing what it means to be pure, to be set apart for a specific reason, including a woman's monthly cycle when she's reproducing baby-making homes in their womb, right? So they have this monthly cycle, and they're supposed to be set apart during those times. So this also is going to be referring to how set apart and specific, and it's going to seem culturally separated, right? Like in America, we basically, and I say we as in the whole of the United States looks at pre-planned marriage as a bad thing. However, a lot of people, if you ask them, what they thought about the pre-planned marriage, a lot of them are like, well, it was rough at first, but then now we truly love each other. We would do anything for each other. We'd die for each other. So it's hard for us culturally to think, well, I'll give you for instance, like my daughter, I don't want this guy to marry my daughter and raise my grandchildren in a materialistic, news-fearing, there's all these problems that this world gives us that I need him to have a basic foundation to say, okay, even if we don't agree 100% on everything, this is the kind of guy that I could trust. I was basically saying that culturally this chapter could be problematic for some people, but I don't see anything wrong with trying to choose the right kind of husband for your daughter. That's the short end of it. I
don't see anything wrong with it either as the mother of a daughter.
You kind of want to choose someone that's going to lead the right path.
Anybody
even
who
if they're
wants
not
to
on
be
the
with
same
my
page
daughter,
as you, they have to be open-minded, they have to be respectful, they have to appear as if they're going to treat your daughter with love and respect instead of lording and
yes,
using, like a piece of property.
Exactly.
It's problematic when we look at today's culture where it's like everybody should have the freedom to do whatever. But I don't know about you, but in my teenage years, I was not very good at making decisions, including, who I should spend the rest of my life with. I mean, if I think about all the girls that I thought, this is going to be the one I marry, if I ended up with these females, my life would be way different and probably not on the good side. So, it's probably a good idea for you to introduce your children to a potential spouse. I don't see it as a problem.
I don't see it as a problem either.
And so that's the prefix of this this chapter. So now all of Yaakov's children are grown, and we're talking about Dinah, his daughter of Leah. So,
yeah.
Welcome back, you all. Sorry about the technical issues.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We've been gone for so long that the gremlins were mad at us, so.
I know. And it's
all right.
So did people had to find
notes
a new
come in?
link too? Huh?
Can you share your screen?
Oh yeah.
With me?
That just really chaps my hide because we had to play the song and wait for everybody to find the link, and then everybody just gets dumped.
Thank you. Now I can see. Okay, good. You got the notes. All right, that's good.
Yes, I got the notes. All right. So Genesis chapter 34. How many chapters are in Genesis? 50.
50. Yes. 5-0.
Ooh, doggy. All right. The defiling of Dinah.
Yeah, see, like,
Dinah?
just FYI for people who have no previous
Dinah?
context of this stream, when it has a heading over the chapter, that was put there later. It was not in the original script. So, like in, okay, never mind. I don't want to start people triggering. There's titles that people have looked at, and they're like, this is that thing that's always been written in the Bible, and then if you look at it in the original text, it's just a heading that was added later. So
yeah. So the last chapter ends with Jacob. What am I? Oh,
yep,
I'm in King
Yaakov.
James version. Hold on. I was like, why does it look weird? Jacob.
I find that funny that you think English looks weird now. Jacob.
No, well, I'm
What's
used
Jacob?
to reading this one now, so I'm like, that's not right. Okay,
That's great.
so Yaakov comes to the city of Shechem, and so then he buys some land.
Yep.
And he sets up an altar, or where they say slaughter place here, but it's an altar, and they call it El Elohi Israel.
Yisrael.
This Yisrael.
Yeah. And
So
it's
that's where we left
Yisar. It's Yisar El. It's not.
Yisar.
I think we talked about this last stream. Is that it's not Israel, right? It's not Israel, as it's been anglicized. It's Yisar El.
Yisrael.
Yep, Yisrael.
Which means
Israel.
of the strong leaders.
Yep.
Okay.
Charged with the strong leader.
Okay.
And charged, some translate as wrestles with. So wrestles with L or charged with L, you know.
Okay, so now, and Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. And Shechem, son of Hamor, and Hivite.
Yeah, Hivite.
Prince
Hivite.
I need more water.
And it's actually Hivi.
Hivi.
But it's been he Anglished. he Blanglished.
Okay, Prince of the land saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her.
Okay, so first of all, in the last verse, Yaakov went to Shechem. But here we're talking about Shechem, the dude. So when it was recorded by Moshe, the city of Shechem was already established based on this dude.
Okay.
So it's one of those things, like, how could he go to the city of Shechem if Shechem didn't even exist yet? You know?
Right. And his being clung to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov, and he loved the girl and spoke kindly to the girl.
Okay. So I'm going to go back one verse, in verse 2. It says that he defiled her. Okay? If you look at it, it literally says he eyed her. E-Y-E. He eyed her. Which is that same word as, like, fervently look. So it's also like if you browse something, right? If you fervently look at something. We mentioned this in previous verses. So he was intensely looking at her. So this is not defiled, right? But the scriptures here is using the KJV definition of it. So the scriptures version, they focus mainly on restoring the names and titles, but not so much as translating every single word. But if they had looked at it, they would have seen that the root of this word is specifically I, right? The iron. So it's I.
Okay.
Yeah. And he took her and he defiled her is not appropriate. It does say that he laid with her, he bed her, But he was he was into her, dude. He was totally into her.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to put it in today's vernacular, you know. All right, next verse.
Hold on, I'm trying to get this. It's
Okay.
not as easy for me to bring up the definitions.
Yeah, remember it's like right click and then select define.
Yeah, but I wanted to show right here that.
And that was due to an update, which is annoying.
Yeah. So, that's the root of that word where they say
Yep.
defiled. It says watch eye, or
Yep.
eye.
And then
And
further
the
on,
pictograph is an
furrow
eye.
is the eyebrow.
Why is the pictograph like seed? That's the seed, right? And then an
Yeah,
eye.
it's the eye's seed, right? So
Uh-huh.
what the eye continues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when your eye continues, you're fervently looking at something.
Oh.
Let me fast
for
forward really
affliction.
quick to Leviticus
Watch over
and
something
beyond,
important.
where it talks about Yom HaKippurim. In the King James Version, it translates it as, and you must afflict your soul. But it literally says, and I to me and to you. Now, this is from the first person of Yah speaking, saying that the day of Yom HaKippurim is to I, me, and you. Right? So this is about intently looking at yourself and the Creator for that 24-hour period, which I call it a day of introspection and reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
A day of meditation and self-inspection and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the root of that word is I. But they're saying, like, when you eye something, okay, so like right there, affliction
Mm-hmm.
is I-knee, which is you're low-browed, right? That's basically what it is. You're low-browed.
All right.
But it all goes back to the eye.
The all-seeing eye.
Yep. Third eye, you know.
Right.
Anyway,
All
we're
right.
kind of off the
Okay.
mark here, but I'm just saying, like, they just used the word defiled,
Uh-huh.
right? He didn't do anything bad with her. He liked her, he laid with her, and the next verse says he loved her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not evil intenting at all, this guy.
Okay.
This is one of those things where I think, like, the people of Yah, okay, Yisrael, are making stupid decisions in this chapter. And you're going to see that soon.
Okay.
But I didn't see anything wrong with the way that this went down. Other than he should have approached Dina's father.
Right.
Now, this is something that was done even in our culture well into, like, let's say the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was growing up, there was still a thing where you asked the father permission to marry his daughter.
Right.
That is completely gone now, unless there's someone who's very old-fashioned, right? If there's a dude who's intending for my daughter, he better come talk to me.
Well, I
I'm
think
just
it's
saying.
completely gone because a lot of times, and this is also kind of a side point, and this just popped into my head. A lot of times, families are broken. And
Yeah,
where
it's
is
the
the
social
dad?
programming.
Like, my dad's not even around. I don't have really a dad for somebody to go. I didn't have a dad for somebody to ask permission. But,
Yeah,
you know.
the responsibility of the position of a parent, of a child, of all of that is gone now. The whole cultural programming is, what is self-serving? How does it make me happy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you think, I need to be happy type of thing. So, but when you marry someone, you're connecting two families. There's a real thing that happens there. Whether you want them to be involved or not, you're
Yeah.
connecting two families together.
Yeah, it's true.
And so this cultural programming has made it to where in-laws are enemies these days. You know, they're fighting for the affection and the attention of their child and their child's spouse, right? Where it used to be, they would all just get together back in the day, you know? And I'm not even talking about that long ago. I remember when all the families would join together, you know? And now it's getting so weird because, again, it's all about self-serving, what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Right.
this chapter, like, it hits me, and like you said, you have a daughter. Anyone who has a small daughter and you're thinking about their future potential, you don't want them to be in a relationship where they're just sticking with the dude because they made a stupid decision and got married. But I'm the type of person is like, you need to do everything you can to avoid divorce. But again, back to that selfishness thing, there's a lot of abuse going on. There's a lot of manipulation going on. It's about selfishness, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about, my marriage is not making me happy, so I'm going to take it out on you, my spouse.
Right.
It's like,
instead of working on the relationship or doing the inner work on yourself.
Right. It's all about, like, what pleases me. Like, you're not up to my standards anymore, so this is over. And then they feel like they're stuck in their relationship, and then they start lashing out in their disdain, whatever that looks like. And if people, like, when I'm not trying to say that we should go back to, all right, they want us to keep thinking that everything's evolving, right? That's their whole narrative. Like, everything is not the way it used to be, even though everything still is exactly as it's always been. So when they want to break up the family dynamic, and I hear this all the time, like when I watch TV shows about relationships and stuff, they say, well, you have to do what makes you happy. You know, I hear that all the time. Rather than, okay, well, how can you compromise and work with one another? That's something different, right?
Right.
But there's so much push now about self-happiness. Like, it's all about self-happiness. And I'm good with, you know, the pursuit of happiness, right? I'm happy with the way things are in my marriage. My wife is happy in the way things are in our marriage. And some things that makes my wife happy annoys me, but it's like, it makes her happy, so I'm going to let her do that thing, and vice versa.
Right.
You know?
That's what it's all about. That's great.
All right. So he loves this chick, right? He loves Dina. Shechem loves Dina. All right. Joni loves Chachi. All right. All right.
Okay.
So Shechem is into Dina.
And Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Take this girl for me for a wife."
Right. And his dad's name is Donkey, which is funny.
Yeah.
And it's the child, the female child of them, to be my wife. Yeah. To be my female human. To be my wife.
To be my female human.
Yeah, that's what it literally means, but
all right.
You know, husband's the same way. You know, he's my human, you know.
He's my mailman. That's so funny. And Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field, so Yaakov kept silent until they came.
Okay, so I'm going to use a weird word here for defiled. Now see, look, they used defiled again. Same exact word, completely different word. This is not ayin anymore. This is timeh. Okay? Timeh means to no longer be pure. So he depurified her. Can I say it like that? Is that clear enough?
This says unclean.
Yeah, unpure, actually. So clean is like problematic for the English language, because when we think clean, we think, you know, dirty dishes or sick or something like that. But it's more about purity. Like, you know, she was set apart for a specific type of husband, and they didn't connect the right way. So, you know, I'll be right back. I guess my plug got disconnected. My phone, my laptop's gonna die. 1 second.
All right. So I'm seeing here this root word Hold on.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
What are you looking for? The unclean one?
Well,
Team
yeah.
A?
Yeah, because there's a couple of different...
Yeah, the root of it being...
Because there's two numbers. There's the 2930, which is... that's the one that says unclean. Shut, unclean. And then it also, in parentheses, has 853, which is in ancient Hebrew is plow, mark.
Oh, no. That's
2 cross sticks.
that's the action. That's the et, the aleph tav, which is the object marker. So it's the object that the action is happening to. That's why I put action to.
Okay.
So, action to the livestocking in the level field. So, we're talking about, they were existing. Okay, so you're in. Wait, which Aleph Tav? Oh, action to Dina. Okay, action to Dina. All right, so he unpurified Dina. The action of unpurification happened to Dina. That's what it's saying there.
Okay.
So it's just saying, the action to, in parentheses. Oh, okay.
In the King James version, that's
Yeah,
why I was
yeah.
trying to see what they
That's
were going.
because et is not translated in King James. Because it's just a direct object marker. Okay, I'm going to have to break down a little bit of Hebrew here. And I think we've addressed this back in the very first episode, but if not, we'll address it now. The Aleph Tav is a direct object marker. So if you said, the dog ate at the cat, then the action of eating happens to the cat. Okay? If you say, at the cat ate the dog, it still says the same thing. In English, we would think, well, the cat is the subject who's doing the action because of the way that we build sentences. But in Hebrew, the et always points to the thing that the action is happening to. So the action happened to the cat, which was eaten by the dog. When you say, at the cat ate the dog.
Okay. Kind of goes with
It's
modern
just like-
English too, because Aleph Tav at.
Yes, it happened at them, right?
Right.
And then, let's go back to Genesis 1. It says, Bereshit bara at Hashemayim va'at uva eretz. Okay? So, the action of creation happened to the quote-unquote heavens, which is the unseen existences, and the earth, which is the eretz, the seen existence, okay? The actions happen to them. But in the Greek, when they tried to translate it literally, because they didn't have an et, it appeared that the heavens and the earth created Elohim because of their sentence structure. So that et is very important to say, okay, created Elohim, that's who's doing the creating, but the action happened to the quote-unquote heavens and the earth, right? Rather than the heavens and the earth created Elohim. The sentence structure is different. It's the same thing as sometimes when you translate Spanish literally into English, because of the sentence structure, it doesn't make sense to us in English.
Okay.
So it's all about sentence structure. So the et is the object marker. It always points to whom the action happens to. Okay? Now, some people have giving it another definition, where et being Aleph and Tav, which is the first letter and last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, that they say that this points to Jesus because he is the beginning and the end. And yes, I'm doing quotation marks because I don't believe that theory. But there is many incidences where et is a very bad thing attached to it. The action is evil.
Mm-hmm.
So unless, their Jesus is the doer of all evil, it doesn't work. But what they do is they want to philosophically, because they don't have a literal definition for et, then it's shoved in there just because it's pointing to Jesus type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I may have believed that back before 2012, but I definitely see that as just something that's made up just for, but grammatically, okay,
Right.
even if you are an ancient Hebrew biblical expert, you would know that et is the object marker, the thing that points to the action is happening to. All right, so the defilement happened to Dinah. So did defiled Yeshua Dinah? No, that makes no sense. Jesus didn't do the defiling.
Right.
All right. Anyway, sorry I went on that rant, but yeah, you looked up the definition, and it's a complicated thing because it's a grammatical.
No, that's good. That's good to know. Good
Okay.
to know. Glad
And sometimes when a vowel is thrown into it, it actually is the top of the sign or coming to a sign, which we actually have that later on. So if you're coming towards the thing, coming towards the sign, that is where the action is happening over there. It's going towards that thing. All right?
All right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay, and Jacob heard that he defiled his daughter. Okay. He had defiled Dinah, his daughter.
And it's not defiled, he had unpurified.
Unpurified his daughters. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field, so Jacob kept silent until they came.
Right.
And
there's another et. His sons existed at the cattle.
Mm-hmm.
So the action happened to the cattle, the sons existing there. So the sons existing with the cattle is what happened.
Okay. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Yaakov to speak with him.
Okay, so now we're getting back on track. Now we're doing the right thing. The fathers are speaking. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a connection that wants to be made between my son and your daughter. We need to get together.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Right. And the sons
And
of
again, righteousness. This is righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the sons of Yaakov came in from the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved and very wroth because he had done a senseless deed in Israel by lying with Yaakov's daughter, which should not be done.
All right. So they have their standards, and they're
Right.
like, this dude didn't meet our standards, so we're mad about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are the brothers of the sister. What do they have to do with it, right? What does a brother have to do with a sister getting married? In that culture, and we looked at this with Yitzhak's wife.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the brother of Yitzhak's wife and said, hey, we'd like to bring her to Abraham's family, and the brother is supposed to be the protector of the home, because as the father gets older,
Mm-hmm.
the brothers take charge of the family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're supposed to be involved, and they're grieved, which it says, and they felt the pressure, right? The painful pressure. This is the same as when they heard about Esav marrying a Canaanite woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
His parents were very painfully pressured. They were grieved, okay?
Mm-hmm. All right. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, my son Shechem's being longs for your daughter. Please give her to him for a wife.
Now, did he say, my son's been with your daughter, deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's trying to make an actual solid connection between the two families.
Right.
He's trying to do right here. I'm sorry that some people, they think that every character of the Bible is 100% righteous. They never do wrong, and everything is justified because they're the people of Yah, right?
Mm-hmm.
people that live righteously can make mistakes, big,
Right.
stupid mistakes.
Right.
And it's because their selfishness comes in, not because it's Yah's will. Right. It's because their own thought process is like, well, how do we deal with this? Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hear you.
I have arguments with people all the time about, no, obviously Yah approves this action because they got away with it. And I'm like, no, people make stupid decisions.
Or people
on their
say,
own.
why would your God let all these horrible things happen on earth? Well, God's
Right.
not doing that. Bad men are doing those things.
Correct.
Not
Correct.
God or the
Yeah,
creator or whatever you call the creator.
Right, the creator. Thank you. Yeah, it's just when all that shit goes wrong in the world, they want to make an excuse to not believe in the creator. So they say, well, there's a bunch of shit wrong with the world. And I say, well, if everybody was connected to the creator, all this shit wouldn't be going wrong in the world. Because it would be more creator mindset rather than selfish mindset.
People would want it. You would do things more in line with creation than than against it.
You would perpetuate creation.
Right.
You would feed the hungry. You would take care of the widows and the orphans and those in need because that's Yah's will. You know. So the reason the world is the way it is because we are not doing our potential for what the creator has called us to be. We, in places where they're completely impoverished, we should be able to speak to the ground to bring forth food, for the people that are starving, but we're not connected anymore. And it's because of the controllers of this realm, whoever that is, right?
Right.
I won't get into that, so.
Yeah. All right. And intermarry with us, give us your daughters and take our daughters for yourselves. And dwell with us, and let the land be before you. Dwell and move about in it, and have possessions in it.
All right, so there's a lot to take apart here. All right, so verse 9 is pretty clear, right? My son's joining with your daughter. You can join your sons with my daughters. They need wives. We might as well just make this whole connecting families thing, right? But you shall dwell in the arets to the face of yours to sit in and do the merchandising, the trading, okay? And take hold or in visions, okay? So it could be considered as possessions, but I mean, there's a whole thing like basically the way that I perceive it is like we're going to grab a hold of one another, become one unit. That's what I see it as. Not so much about the possessions, so to speak. Because yes, you grab hold of possessions, but I think he's saying like, you come over to this land and we'll be one unit.
Okay. And Shechem said to her father and her brothers, let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me, I give. Ask of me a bride price and gift ever so high, and I give according to what you say to me, but give me the girl for a wife.
All right, so now he's trying to do what's called the dowry, right? So he's like, I don't want to just, say she belongs to us now. I want to do right by you. I want to, quote unquote, reimburse you for, the connection that my son has with your daughter, right? Because when you lose a daughter, you're losing a valuable asset. I mean, that's someone that's going to continue your seed, so to speak. That's going to carry the children. So yeah, he's saying, I'm going to give you the dowry. I'm going to give you the worth that she is to us. He could have just said, it's already happened. You're, sorry. My son's been with your daughter. Get over it. But he's not. He's trying to do right.
Right. But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father and spoke with deceit because he had defiled Dinah their sister.
Okay, so that's unpurified.
Unpure. Right.
And this is, they lied the word, right? So they're lying with words.
And spoke with deceit.
Yes.
Lying with words. So what are they lying about?
So, you're going to see.
Okay.
It hasn't happened yet.
And they said to them, "We are not able to do this matter, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us."
Okay, we can't do this. We can't do this word, and word is like, it's different than this thing. This word is like an establishment of an order, right? This is like creating order out of chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Davar means to cause order by a word, okay? And then it says you have to be circumcised, right? You can't join with us, unless you're circumcised.
Okay.
Now, granted, what they're saying is not inaccurate as far as like if you want to be part of Yisrael, you have to be circumcised, right? That's part of the deal. But that's not the lie yet.
Mm-hmm.
The lie is the only reason that you can't marry our sister is because you're not circumcised, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Only on this condition would we agree to you, if you become as we are, to have every male of you circumcised.
Right.
Then we shall give our daughters to you, and take your daughters to us, and we shall dwell with you, and shall become one people.
Okay, so here's the lie. Once you do the circumcision thing, we're all in. We're coming together.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to join our families. All right, this is where the deceit begins.
But if you do not listen to us and be circumcised, we shall take our daughter and go. And their words.
And by the way, that would have been a better result. You'll see what I'm saying in this chapter. It would have been better that they just took off with their sister.
Mm-hmm. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young
They're like,
man,
okay, good idea. Let's do that.
And the young man did not delay to do this, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was more respected than all the household of his father.
Okay. He had a weight of glory. All right. He was more honorable than all the house of his father. So this man, loving the daughter, again, wants to do the right thing and try to get on the same page as her father by being circumcised. That's a huge, huge sacrifice to say, all right, if that's what I have to do, I'll give up my foreskin and join with you and worship the Creator as you do. It's a huge sacrifice happening here. So yeah, that's a weighty matter. It's glory to him.
And Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of their city, and spoke with the men of their city, saying, "These men are at peace with us, so let them dwell in the land and move about in it, and see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us for wives, and let us give them our daughters."
Yeah, so the only word that I think is, what does it say in that one? Move about. I don't know which one they're translating from trade. You see where it says trade therein?
Land and trade therein.
That one is accurate, but they have, so let them dwell in the land and move about in it. Move about. That's weird. Okay, it's not move about. It's trade. That's more appropriate. In other words, let them be in our barter system. Right?
Right.
So, like, we want to, like, completely integrate with these people. All right? Move about. Weird. Anyway, sorry.
Only on this condition would the men agree to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us is circumcised as they are circumcised.
Yep.
Their herds and their possessions and all their beasts, should they not be ours, only let us agree with them and let them dwell with us.
Okay, so he's saying, look, this is a very prosperous nation, and we're just a little city.
Mm-hmm.
If we join together with these people, we're going to be prosperous too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're selling the connection here, right? Like, this is going to be a generational blessing if we join with this family,
mm-hmm.
right? And the beast is the growlers. So this is any butte animal, if you will. So all land animals, not just cows, like sheep, goats,
Okay.
camels, whatever, everything. It's not, beast is kind of like, we think like lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
Right.
But this is where we get behemoth, by the way. This is Bohema.
Okay. And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city.
Right, and this is Shema. They heard and obeyed.
And it came to be on the third day when they were in pain that two of the sons of Jacob, Shimon and Levi,
Yep.
Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. What?
Wow, what righteous men.
And they killed
Okay.
Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out.
So they came in, slaughtered the city, while they were in pain healing from circumcision. That's a pretty big deceit.
Yeah.
Like, you guys get circumcised, and we'll join with you. And then as they're laying in bed, I mean, look, that's going to take a lot out of you as grown-ass adults getting circumcised. And so they just went in there, and they took their sister back, and it's horrible. I don't like it. I'm not happy.
No, that's bad. That doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, but there are people who will justify it because, these are the chosen people. No, chosen people can do bad things.
Right.
Yeah.
The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city because they had defiled their sister.
And it's not defiled, but depurified her.
Depurified.
Yeah.
Right.
But they did spoil the city. So they took all their shit.
Right.
Excuse my language, sorry.
They took their flocks and their herds and their donkeys and that which was in the city and that which was in the field. And
right, because city, that's another thing. Like city and field, they're, well, I guess it's kind of the same way even in modern times. Like where they grow and produce things are outside of the city. The city's just for dwelling. Mm-hmm. So if you think about rural areas and city areas, that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still the same.
And all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered all that was in the houses.
And the little ones are skippers, those who skip. So they killed all the men, and they took the women and children, kept them alive, and it integrated them into, they probably had to do 7 years of slavery to get integrated. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't see any justification in this. Other than they keep using the stupid definition of defile. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like their definition is trying to justify what they're doing.
Right.
Right. Well, they defiled her, so it's not as if Dinah got raped.
Right.
Dinah went to the people. They were attracted to one another. The dude loved her, was willing to pay the price for her, willing to circumcise himself for her. Mm-hmm. And they go in and they kill them.
Yeah.
So this is righteous men doing evil. Or they're not quite righteous. I mean,
right.
The 12 sons of Yisrael were a promise, right? That they would be connected to Yah, that Yah would work with them specifically to make a nation unto himself. But every human being still has free will. And this is not the only evil that these sons do. You know, later on, we'll read about Joseph and the way that his brothers, you know, threw him in slavery because they were jealous of him. This is human reaction. This is not the righteousness of Yah.
Right. All right. And Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, "You have troubled me by making me a stench among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I am few in number, and they shall gather themselves against me, and shall strike me, and I shall be destroyed, my household and I."
So Yaakov doesn't even agree with what they did. Like, what the hell are you doing? Now everybody's going to hate me because of you.
But they said, "Should he treat our sister like a whore?" And that's how they end it?
That's how they end that chapter.
Now I gotta go to the next one.
The only thing... The difference between what they expect, which I believe is still a righteous expectation, okay? They expected the man to come to them and talk about taking her to be his wife, right? But according to Yah, they're already married. All right?
Right.
1 minute, please. All right. According to Yah, they're already married. And the only unrighteous thing that they did is they didn't talk about connecting the families first, right? And a whore does not need consent from her father and her brothers because she's chosen to be sexually active without marriage, right? So the deed is already done. It doesn't undo
Right.
that they've already been together.
Right.
So their justification is, well, should we let them make her a whore? Well, what are you, rebooting her?
Yeah.
The deed is done. Like,
Yeah.
now, if she tries to remarry, she's already unpurified. It's going to be a lot harder for her to get married now when she had the opportunity to get married righteously. Like, man, did they screw up here. They screwed up here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Wow.
So this whole thing about what I'm leading into here is it doesn't matter if you quote unquote are part of the tribe, right? Well, I come from the tribe of so and so I'm a special person. Special person or not, you still have the opportunity to be righteous and you have the opportunity to be evil. Everyone does.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things where it's like, I don't care how you try to justify it, evil is evil.
Yeah.
All right. I'm checking through chat now.
I'm just curious what the root word of whore is. Harlot. Harvest mattock.
Oh, no, it's definitely whore, dude.
And then it goes down to whore, whoredom, in the sense of being spread abroad.
Yeah. She was a leg spreader as far as what they were concerned. All right.
Even though she was only with that one guy, and they loved each other, and he wanted to marry her.
Yep.
That's messed up.
She had a Brazilian. That's funny. All right. Anyway. Yeah. This is one of those ones where I hate translating it because, like, people can say, well, you know, if the people who lived according to Yah live this evil, how good can the Torah be? But my argument is that's the point. They weren't living according to Yah. That's the reason that this story is even shared, is to show that even those who are chosen can make big, stupid mistakes.
Right.
I mean, this whole city was trying to do the right thing, circumcise themselves, join to the Creator, And these dudes screwed it up because they're like, nah, we're the special boys. You can't be part of our crew.
We're just going to kill you.
We're just going to kill you, yeah. And take our daughter, you know.
Mm.
But see, it's not until the very last verse that they're even claiming that she was made to be a whore. But then the translators, I think, use this last verse to justify the translation of the previous words to be defiled.
Mm-hmm.
When the first one was specifically talking about a completely different word to eye her, right? Mm-hmm. And then they use a different word for the rest of them to unpurify her. Now, the first incident, they didn't even use the term for unpurifying. He just was intently into her.
Mm-hmm.
He was totally into her.
Mm-hmm.
And so they changed that to being, he defiled her? How? Where are you getting that from? He lowbrowed her? You know, whatever. It's just, it's stuff like that. This is exactly why I do what I do. When I research stuff like this, it's like, you know, one word can change the meaning of the whole thing. When they just keep saying defile, 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 in your mind, they're doing something evil to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over and over, it's repeated. But then when you look at it in its context, it's like, no, they were doing right by her because he didn't do the right thing by approaching her father and brothers first. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But he was trying to do it right. He was trying to make it right. He's like, Dad, dude, I'm totally into this girl. Can you please go talk to the family? I know it's already happened. You know, it's been done. She's my wife, but I want to make it official. So by doing the right thing and exposing this hidden marriage, it ended up being his demise because the family was basically acting holier than thou, so to speak. And there was no justification, as far as I'm concerned, and Yah, prove me wrong, right? May Yah reveal to me if I'm reading this wrong. But in my years of studying scriptures, I cannot see any justification in what the children of Israel did in this instance.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
But there are people who will justify it simply for the fact of they hold these human beings as a hierarchy, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they're the patriarchs of the faith, so therefore they were more righteous than us. No, they were human beings. They had a choice just like we do. Mm-hmm. And the same thing goes for as far as who is the special people. It's not just those who are born of the specific tribe. It's anyone who tries to connect with the Creator and live according to the will of what this creation is for us, including being co-creators of this realm, right? So it's problematic when people get religious, and that's what it is they hold these men to high regard, just like the church fathers, and even, well, no, I don't want to go down that path in this series. Let's just say they hold people to a higher regard than they should be, because they're still a human. Like, let's say when we get to Moses, right? Moses was the one who presented the Torah written down, recorded for us. But if chapter, it'll never appear in any movie or TV show. Why? Because then it makes the good guys look like the bad guys.
Right.
We can't have that. You know?
Right.
So, anyway.
All right, cool. Well,
It's been a long couple of weeks, folks, but I'm glad we're back, and this is a good way to start it. Let's just get into it and show how ugly people can be, even as the chosen people.
Right. It's real. It's real. Yep. It's much more realistic than, than the big like mega church version of, the Bible.
The prosperity gospel.
Right. Exactly.
It's all about me getting that money, getting that power, all about me.
Right, exactly.
But no, it's all about connecting to the Creator and being one. Mm-hmm. Not about me as being the powerful individual, but me coming together with the powerful individuals as a powerful individual. Together as one.
And then strengthening each other.
Exactly. I mean, us, you and I, Karen, we've become a powerful group, when we've met each other. At first, though, it was awkward because we didn't know each other.
Right.
You know, but now that we know each other, we've connected, and now we're very powerful together. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for episode 22 of
the Earth is still flat.
And the Earth is definitely still flat. I got my love it. I got my flat Earth artwork behind me now. Love it. All right. So Shabbat Shalom.